Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special session of the IAmRemarkable Facilitator Learning Series in honor of Pride Month 2025. My name is Jeanette. I'm a 41-year-old woman of Southeast Asian heritage with long dark hair and brown eyes. My pronouns are she, her, and I live in Hamburg with my wife and my three wonderful kids. I've been with Google for 15 years now. IAmRemarkable is a global initiative empowering people from all walks of life, especially those from underrepresented groups, to celebrate their achievements in the workplace and, of course, beyond. The IAmRemarkable workshop, it helps individuals overcome their self-doubt. It helps them break barriers, and it unlocks their full potential. And this is why the workshop also has helped me. To date, we have reached over 700,000 attendees, wow, in all over the world, over 180 countries, with the help of more than 5,000 facilitators. These are amazing numbers, if you ask me. And today we are celebrating Pride Month with a very special Facilitator Learning Series. And the panel will bring together four great IAmRemarkable facilitators, myself included. And these facilitators will share their insights, experiences, and also their strategies for navigating the current climate. As we gather for today's conversation, we do so with the awareness of the growing challenges and, of course, of the growing pushbacks that we are facing by LGBTQ plus communities around the world. At IAmRemarkable, we believe that visibility, allyship, and inclusion are not only trends, they are true commitments. So our mission is rooted in creating space for every voice, especially those historically marginalized groups, to be heard, celebrated, and also empowered. And today's panel is a reminder that when we share our stories across borders, then we will strengthen a global community of courage, of authenticity, and hope. So in the end, we will have a Q&A session of this talk. So please don't be afraid to add your questions and your comments into the chat box. And now I am delighted to introduce you to our brilliant panelists. Junior, Chris, Ali, please introduce yourself and tell me what makes you remarkable.
Sure, would you like me to go first? That was a beautiful introduction, Jeanette. Thank you very much. I'm Junior, he, him pronouns. I am a executive coach and I am a ERG leader for a large corporate financial institution and a platinum facilitator for IAmRemarkable. In terms of description, I find this a bit awkward because I am how do I describe myself? A mixed race, so brown-skinned, bald man with a beard and glasses, and I'm from the north of England, so I've got a very northern accent as well.
Awesome, thanks. Let's move on with Chris.
Thank you. Mabuhay. My name is Chris Eugenio and my pronouns are he, him. I am proudly brown-skinned, born, raised, and living in the Philippines. I sport a buzz cut and I'm wearing a lilac shirt today. I am both a corporate athlete and a workplace inclusion advocate. Since 2019, I have been a certified IAmRemarkable facilitator, empowering individuals and organizations through the power of self-advocacy and allyship. And today, I just realized something special. I am just one workshop away from reclaiming my platinum tier status. So I am remarkable for championing confidence, inclusion, and the belief that everyone has a story worth celebrating. Thank you, Jeanette.
Wow, amazing. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, very much looking forward to your platinum status. So close. Amelie, do you want to move on?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Amélie. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a French white girl. I have dyed red hair. And today I'm wearing a green jumpsuit because it's becoming quite hot in Paris. I'm personally balancing my time between hobbies, pole dancing, playing the harp. But on the professional side, I've been an IAmRemarkable facilitator since 2021 in my company, and also leading employee-led initiative regarding LGBTQ plus community.
Wow, that truly sounds remarkable, especially the pole dancing part. My kids are really good at it. It's we have it in the living room. I think it's harder than it looks. So a lot of respect. Well, let's directly dive into our panel discussion. My first question is, what barriers do you see that LGBTQ plus people are facing today, and how do you stay motivated in the face of legislation and attitudes that represent rather giant steps backwards than ahead? Junior, do you want to start?
I will, Jeanette, but you know what would be really nice before we got into these questions? If we talk about, as facilitators, what makes us all remarkable. Because I think we talk to in these workshops, we encourage everyone to say it, and I think it'd be a nice start before we get into the serious stuff, just to talk about what makes us all remarkable. So if you're okay with that, I'll kick us off on that one. Yeah. So I would say I'm remarkable because in spite of a very, very messy upbringing with a lower socioeconomic background, lots of racism, lots of homophobia, and then into an adult, the same thing. I never let any of those negative experiences or that othering make me into an angry person. In fact, I just turned it into a positive, finding a job where I help people, volunteer to help people. I always say I didn't become bitter, I became better. So I would say that's what makes me remarkable. How about you, Chris?
I am remarkable just by simply being visible and being very vocal. I think it's very important for our community to have role models. See, growing up, I didn't have role models. So I am remarkable because I decided to be the role model I wanted to be.
Yeah, I can go last. So I am remarkable because I'm trying to bring as much as I can inclusion and trying to think about it both in my personal and professional life, kind of using my white privilege to advocate for it, even though I'm usually labeled, like the DEI girl, but I'm fine with that. And, a lot of people are actually quite happy when you do that. So yeah, I think that's fine. Janet, I think you shared one, but if you want to go next.
No, all good, all good. And I'd like to deep dive into the barriers that we are facing. How do you three stay motivated?
I think that the barriers, they're very different. It can be different based on multiple things, right? So geographical location, cultures, ethnicities, even age is coming up quite a lot as a topic right now that could hold people back or make them shrink themselves or face different issues. So I think globally we've got to look at it in different ways. Locally, I see a lot of fears increasing in terms of like hate crimes fueled by media backlash, segregation within the gay community. So because people don't want to be associated with someone else in the group, they like distance themselves from that person in the group or that part of the group. So we're seeing that separation within the community. And then rights being stripped back. Obviously, you mentioned that at the start, and just barriers to personal and professional progression. I think for me, in terms of staying motivated, is that what you asked me? Staying motivated in the face of all of this?
Yeah.
I think that it's good to find your tribe, to find your place in the community. That's a nice thing to do. But I think that there is a lot of impact if we can just find the right people to make an impact and have action, because we can have all these beautiful ideas, these great conversations, but what is the action on the back of it? So that action motivates me. I'm motivated by goals. So what can I do to make a difference? I guess that would be my answer.
Nice. Thanks, Junior. Amelie, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think obviously a lot has been happening for the past few months, right? Specifically, I think in France, we are still not so bad at the moment. Things didn't change that much yet. But still, the challenges that we still see and that we'll continue to see in the future for sure. I'm not sure to say it properly in English, so don't hesitate to correct me, but kind of internalized homophobia, you know what I mean? Things that are not like blunt, but where people have bias and they don't even realize they have it. So what motivates me specifically in my corporate job is to, see that we still have a lot of trainings out there, people who are willing to be educated, to learn more, to understand actually what they should improve or not. And actually, what I think is also quite inspiring and nice is that they are willing to learn about all their biases. So that's something that we continuously tackle. And, by being, by working on inclusion across the different minorities, you can also sometimes make people realize things that they missed previously. So yeah, that's mostly it. When I have people from team that I never worked with, that I never even seen in my life, come to me and be like, thank you so much for sharing this training. That's something that really keeps me motivated.
Wow, yeah, I can resonate with that. Thank you. Chris, what does motivate you?
Okay, before I answer that question, so maybe just also to answer the first one from our perspective, because LGBTQ plus communities in the Philippines and across Asia also continue to face significant barriers despite growing visibility and advocacy efforts. While we can recognize that progress has been made, deep-rooted cultural, religious, and political challenge persist. For example, in the Philippines, a recent study found that LGBTQ plus Filipinos are twice as likely to be underemployed and 3 times more likely to experience workplace discrimination or violence. Many, in fact, struggle with hiring biases, lack of promotions, and hostile working environments. Our SOGI Equality Bill, which is the proposed national legislation that aims to protect LGBTQ plus individuals from discrimination, has stalled for over 2 decades due to opposition from conservative groups. And in many Asian countries today, same-sex marriage remains illegal and LGBTQ plus rights are often dismissed as Western influence. In the Philippines, particularly, the Catholic Church and other religious institutions continue to oppose LGBT plus rights, reinforcing what I call traditional gender roles and heteronormative expectations. So many LGBT individuals feel pressured to hide their identities in professional and social settings. Some governments in Asia have also rolled back LGBTQ plus protections, avoiding clear stances on reforms, and even reinforcing discriminatory policies. This creates an environment where LGBTQ plus individuals feel unsafe and supported. So what motivates me? On the ground, there are LGBTQ activists and allies who continue to build strong networks, offering support and amplifying each other's voices. I've also seen increased media representation and corporate diversity initiatives, which helps in shaping public perception. So despite these setbacks, grassroots movements continue to persist, which is beautiful because they push for legal protections and the all-important cultural change. So while challenges remain, the fight for equality in my side of the world is far from over.
Wow, I have to let this digest this, Chris. Well, these are also sad numbers, to be honest. I'm pretty familiar with the Filipino culture because of my parents and grandparents, and I have received the Filipino culture as a very progressive and open culture, but hearing those numbers is rather shocking. So there's still a lot of work to do. What motivates me, like a couple of years ago, I was here in Hamburg and we have another Pride Parade with bicycles, and young people went on the street. And despite everyone saying that, oh, the next generation, they are spoiled, they don't want to work, and whatever attitude they have towards work, but looking in all those faces, them marching with their bikes, with the pride flags, and looking in these hopeful, motivated, strong faces, to me, it was like I almost cried, and I thought, if this is the future, then the future is really bright. So those young people actually motivated me, and so do my kids every day. Yeah, so thanks for sharing. My next question is about organizations. So what steps can organizations take to build truly inclusive communities and cultures that support the LGBTQ plus community? Have you seen any specific policies or practices that have worked well, and can you share those learnings with us?
Yeah, well, I've run an ERG for a large bank, 60,000 employees globally, and we're quite lucky in the sense that we can still have D&I policies in place. There's no massive pushback on that in the UK right now. So I think that's a good start, having robust plans, targets, all that in place, but then the stuff behind that. So the ERGs do make a massive difference, and that's an employee resource group, or employee-led network if you're in a different business. And they create that sense of community for people, belonging, but we need to have them managed properly. So they need to have budget, they need to have executive sponsorship, they need to have advocacy across the business, and they need to be visible. I've worked in this business for 17 years, and one of the reasons why I've stayed in the same company is because I'm part of an ERG as an LGBT person. Because in my own immediate team, where we do our coaching, it's all BAU, that's great. But in the ERG space, I just feel like that real sense of belonging and like I'm making a difference for people, and I look forward to engaging with those people, and I feel like I can just be myself and bring my full self to those situations. So it's not just the difference they can make in terms of policy and process by influencing that, it's how you feel being part of it. I think education and awareness for leaders is a massive thing in organizations, because a lot of it is just ignorance, or they're just scared to get things wrong, so they might not step forward and do things and help. A genuine culture in the organization. So everyone will talk about a culture, right? We've got a great culture here. We've got a great culture. So, okay, well, how does that culture really feel? And what do I see or hear when I'm in that business? And what is it really like? And then, and I've got like a list here because I talk about this all the time. I get really passionate about it. But things like your whistleblowing, anti-bullying, harassment, discrimination policies, are they as good as you make them out to be? Are they really welcoming? Do people feel they can whistleblow or speak up if something's gone wrong, if there is any homophobia or transphobia in the business? And then just think about, is it just actions? Is it just words or is it actions? So all these things you can do, all these words and all these newsletters and all that kind of stuff, but what's the action behind it? I talked about action at the start. There needs to be something tangible. And I read this quote on the internet yesterday, I think it was, the CEO of Stonewall talked about pride in businesses and talked about how, let me quote him actually, pride is a time to remind ourselves of courage, hope and unity that got us to where we are today. And courage, hope and unity are beautiful things. But again, hope without action is just a wish. So you need to have some actual action behind it. And someone said in a meeting last week, the opposite of pride is shame, and we are not ashamed. So we need to act like we are not ashamed. I'll get off my soapbox now because that topic gets me going, as you can see.
Okay, so turned hope into action. Love it. Chris, how about you? What are your thoughts?
I agree with everything Junior said. I think organizations can take meaningful steps to build truly inclusive communities that support LGBTQ plus individuals. I know that there are cultural and legal challenges. These continue to persist, but many companies and institutions have successfully implemented policies that foster equity, belonging, and safety, even during this tricky times. Companies, for example, should adopt clear policies that explicitly prohibit discrimination based on one's sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. I think providing healthcare, parental leave, and partner benefits for same-sex couples ensures fairness. That's a really important message to send across the organization. Again, echoing what Junior said, establishing LGBTQ plus employee resource groups and support networks. These help foster a sense of belonging. Also, regular SOGI sensitivity training for employees and even leadership. These help combat unconscious bias and really promotes allyship as well. I think organizations can also step up in publicly supporting LGBTQ plus rights, the local movements, as well as actively recruit LGBTQ plus talent and ensure equal opportunities for promotions and leadership roles are available. But just to be more specific, because in many parts of the world, we're celebrating Pride Month. So hosting Pride Month events, sharing LGBTQ plus stories, highlighting your LGBTQ plus employees, and recognizing their contributions. Very simple things, but very powerful in helping normalize inclusion within corporate culture.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely agree. Amelie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat what Gino and Chris said. I think it was pretty exhaustive and completely aligned with this, having ARGs, giving them the means, the budget, the support so that they can deliver against it. I think on top of that, one step that companies can take even further. So usually this ERG is based on kind of volunteering time. It's not your core job, except for a couple of DI project manager or maybe HR support team. So it's basically employees like any of us that will take their time, obviously on top of their corporate job, to deliver against it. One thing that we are trying to do actually in my company that I would like to see elsewhere is to make sure that this work is actually highlighted, especially in process like promotions, recognition, value this, because if you organize, I don't know, an event to promote a discussion like the one that we are having, that means you have project manager skills, potentially. You know, everything can be translated in actual skills that you will use in your other job. So I think that's something that we kind of need to have a look at with a better lens at the moment, because usually this volunteering is kind of not looked down, but easily dismissed, right? Like it's something we do on the side for fun, but it's not because we are trying to have an impact. Another thing I can mention, so it's not directly driven by the companies, but it's important for them to support it. One thing I'm so happy that we have in Paris, and kind of going junior, like when I think about going to meet these people, I'm so happy that I know I will see them and be in my safe place. We actually created a network of ERG in Paris. So all the LGBTQ plus ERG from the different companies that we know of, we meet once a month for an after work. Sometimes we have a talk, sometimes we just have drinks, sometimes, you know, it depends. Every company is hosting their event and decide on the agenda. And it's so good to exchange on best practices, thing that works. Also exchange, you know, like the contact of people that we have invited that had worked with us. So having your company enable you to connect with others, especially on these topics, I think it's great. And also we can just invite each other, you know. So that's two things that I think they can do to go even further than DI policy, which is obviously extremely important, but I think we all agree kind of the basics.
Yeah, I love that point. Thanks, Amelie. Yeah, we also have something similar here in Hamburg, in the north of Germany. Companies come together with Barclays, with Meta, Pinterest, and all the big companies, and the ERGs come together because we have the same goal and we have the same issues. How can we motivate people, allies, but also the community to take part in the events, to organize the events, right? But it's not only the people who have to be active, but also upper management, as you said, Chris and Junior. Yeah, we need to put this on the agenda of the upper management, promote the people who are motivated and engaged. So yeah, thank you for sharing. My next question would be, what does visibility mean to you, and why is visibility important in this context? Maybe Chris, you want to start.
Sure. I think visibility for LGBTQ plus leaders and advocates, it's about being seen, being heard, and being recognized in our most authentic identities. And it plays a crucial role when the goal is to foster inclusion, representation, and empowerment in workplaces, communities, and really anywhere and everywhere. When LGBTQ plus leaders are visible, they serve as powerful role models for others, showing that success is possible without hiding your identity. Visibility for me personally is all about, you know, helping dismantle stereotypes and biases. I mean, just by being present, just by claiming my rightful space. I feel like I help make workplaces and the industries I'm part of more welcoming for future generations.
Absolutely. Thanks. Amelie.
Yeah, when I think of visibility, it always reminds me this discussion that happened in one of my previous company when I was an intern. So there was a woman who had a girlfriend, and I think many people did not know that about her. And one day I was at the coffee machine. There were a couple of other people, and she was talking about her weekend, mentioning that her and her girlfriend went for a trip, and someone just stopped her and was like, "I'm sorry, I don't need to know that about your life." And that was so deeply shocking to me. Like, it was nothing, just mentioning a partner, a trip, like everyone else would do usually. So I think it's a bit maybe idealistic, but visibility for me is when actually, I mean, long term, when we could just blend in, if that's the right word to use, like when visibility will not anymore be a topic, that'd be great. Until then, it's more about, maybe I would say, taking the space, not being afraid to just speak about ourselves. And yeah, especially, I mean, for me, it really resonates in the daily life, if you know what I mean. Just be able to talk about yourself without even, like sharing a lot of information. Just talk about your life and not having to kind of hide. There was a study actually from GQ and Tétu in France, I think, that was done, and it was proven that at the moment LGBTQ plus employees feel the need to lie about their identity, their sexual orientation, because they're afraid they will be less promoted. But the need to lie will result in less efficiency. So if you have an inclusive company, at the end of the day, you also have better employees, I would say, and more happy people with you. So yeah, that's what visibility for me is about,
Absolutely. And in the end, from a business perspective, it's better for the company if you can bring your whole self to work, then you are also more productive, right? Yeah, that's true. And it takes so much energy if you have to lie or hide. You really can't imagine how much energy it takes. Junior, what are your thoughts on visibility?
Well, I always go back to that quote of you can't be what you can't see. So I think seeing visible like leaders who are out LGBT is a massive impact. So I think we've done a really big job in our company to engage those leaders who are on the hunt for them, almost trying to find out where they were, because they're not as visible, they don't talk about it. And again, it's not because they don't want to, maybe just don't feel like they have to. They don't see the importance or the impact it will make. So having us approach them and actually talk about the difference it makes to people and their career progression, their confidence, makes a massive difference. I'm probably one of the only visible queer people of colour in the business. So I make a point of making sure I bang that drum very loudly and open the door for other people. And I've helped other people come into the ERG who are a bit like me and feel a bit more like they belong there. And then we have a big event for Pride coming up, where we've got a few of those senior leaders that I talked about, talking about their experiences, sharing the career journeys, all that kind of stuff. But also with visibility, let's think about visible allies. Because, you have those ally programs in certain organizations, and like I love Emily's lanyard there, and we've got similar ones. But we have this program where it's like, what does a real ally look like? What do they do? Not just calling yourself an ally and putting on a beautiful rainbow lanyard and walking around the office wearing it. What difference do you make? What do you talk about? How would you challenge something if it was not right? So that's another lens of visibility that I would make sure is important in your organization or anywhere.
Yeah, and this also fits beautifully in the IAmRemarkable initiative, because we say that if you talk out loud about your achievements, for instance, you do inspire people. And if you are visible with your life, then you do inspire people. And I just think of the many people who have inspired me and who helped me to be courageous and come out. Absolutely. So thanks for sharing. Okay, so before we move on to the next part of this conversation, we want to take a moment to honor the rich history of LGBTQ plus lives, activism, and the community. As we know, our presence now is is nothing new, because queer people have always been here. They have shaped culture. They are driving change, and they are making space for others to live even more freely. And we have invited each of our panelists here to share a figure from queer history or from their own lives who have inspired them. So it is a figure that was courageous, a figure that was creative or visible, and that helped make room for our panelists to show up more fully to the world. And this is our way of celebrating the people who have paved the way and who have reminded us that we are a part of a very powerful world, and that there is a permanent legacy for those people. That's why I invite you now to share a figure or a movement. And let's start with Chris.
Thank you. I wanted to highlight not just a figure, but a movement. It's a collective community effort. It's the Pride PH March in Quezon City, and this holds immense significance in the Philippine LGBTQ plus movement because it serves as a powerful symbol of visibility. We've been talking about it, resistance, and also community solidarity. The 2024 March saw over 228,000 attendees, making this one of the largest Pride events in Southeast Asia. Now, this massive turnout reflects the growing support for LGBTQ plus rights, even in a conservative society. Now, this holds profound significance in the Philippines, a country where conservative values, religious influence, and legal barriers continue to shape attitudes towards LGBTQ plus rights. The Philippines, as I've said, has a strong Catholic influence, with many religious groups opposing LGBTQ plus rights. So this march pushes back against discrimination, showing that Filipinos, LGBTQ Filipinos in particular, deserve acceptance and equality.
Wow, thanks for sharing this, Chris. This is a good tip. I didn't know about it. I will mark it in my calendar. Sounds amazing. Thank you. So, Amelie, would you like to share your figure or your movement?
Yeah, I've chosen a drag queen that we actually work with quite regularly because I think she is making history at the moment. So Mini Majesté is a French drag queen. And she has started actually with our company a few years ago to come in corporate environment and have bingo drag. And why I think it's so important, it's because not only we have fun, we educate people, because at least in my office, most of people before that never went to see a drag queen in real life. But she's also educating people so much. One thing that we are doing every year with her is AIDS Day. I think that's how you say in English. So she comes in the office, she has the bingo drag, and we have fun and we laugh, but she educates so much. She knows about, the stats, the data. She usually reads the reports that comes every year about it. She explains to people how it works. How to protect yourself from it. It's really an event. I think it's usually when we have the most people. I think last year we had like 200 plus attendees, which is huge. And I really appreciate her doing that. And since she's starting with us, she has actually just completely dropped her previous life and corporate job, as she's now a full-time drag queen. And she's booked for so many corporate events and kind of spreading the words, her positivity. And she's extremely involved, a great activist in everything that's related to AIDS. We have this Seed Draction, that's an event in France to support for AIDS research and raise money. And thanks to all her work, she was one of the bearer of the Olympic torch. Yeah, exactly. She was personally DM'd by the mayor of Paris a couple of years ago in 2023, I think, for the year later. So yeah, I really admire her. I think it's great because she has this corporate experience. She's able, to talk with the same culture and codes. She knows to reach people in these companies. And yeah, I'm just so in awe with her. Every time we have her at the office, I'm so happy. So I'm really glad I was able to share a bit of her parkour with you today.
Wow, yeah, I can feel your energy talking about her. I mean, the energy is flowing right to Hamburg, and happy to hear that she's so successful and that she does get the right visibility. Amazing. Junior, what movement or figure has had impact on you?
It's a bit of both, actually. It's a figure and a movement, or a figure who created a movement. So I'll talk about Lady Phil, who's the founder of UK Black Pride. And UK Black Pride was started in 2005. It was actually a meeting. A group of black lesbians, including Lady Phil, were talking about there's nothing by us for us, and decided there was a need for a space like UK Black Pride. So in 2005, they created it. Racism in the gay community has been a long-standing issue, still is today, whether that's ostracizing people or fetishizing people. And even in 2017, we saw that when we added black and brown to the pride flag, there was a backlash on that, which just highlighted the point even more. We know that brown was for people of color, black was for people with HIV/AIDS, but people were tearing that flag down, complaining about it. So it just reinforced the point of a need for something like Black Pride. Now Black Pride is held in London at this massive park. Now it brings in, I think 2024 brought in 20,000 people all in one big park, and it's free, so you can just go and enjoy yourself and feel that sense of community. And that's what it feels like. It feels like for someone like me from the north of England that's not very diverse in terms of queer people of colour, to be somewhere where you actually feel seen and like you can just fully be around your people, and there's no racism, there's no othering there, and you're just feeling that sense of celebration. And then seeing it get more and more popular over the years. It reminds me a bit of when you think back to the ballroom time of like in New York in the 60s and 70s, where a group of like energized black people were just going for it, having a great time, but also making a difference. And that's what I love. And the picture that you had on the screen is from a couple of years ago, where Lady Phil was riling up the audience. I was in the audience. You can't see me in there, obviously, because there's a lot of people there. But it was just such an electric atmosphere. And I'm going again this year, very excited about it. And I recommend everyone join. It's not just for people of colour, it's for our allies as well. So definitely recommend it if you're in London.
Wow. Yeah, I can sense that electric atmosphere. Nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Junior. Well, to me, the figure who has deeply inspired me is Geraldine Roman. I know, Chris, I have talked to you before about her. So for me, growing up in a Catholic Filipino family, coming out was so difficult, and there was very little visible representation. My parents were not so familiar with a lot of people from the community, and that's why Geraldine Roman's courage as the first openly transgender woman elected to the Philippine House of Representatives, that resonated so much with me. I think brave people like her are true role models for the next generation, and this is our future. And yeah, people like her show us what is possible, demonstrating that authenticity and leadership are not mutually exclusive. And she just represents all the brave people in the Philippines, a country that is progressive on the one hand, but not so progressive on the other hand, as we have seen with Chris data and stats. So I think it's really brave, and being brave, it's tough. So I'm super thankful that she is there and that she goes out and that she has motivated a lot of people, including me. So thank you for sharing your figures and movements. I'm moving on with our last panel question. How do you see IAmRemarkable as an initiative, as a part of a broader movement for visibility and for change? So this is a broad and big question. Let's start with Chris.
Sure. Okay, IAmRemarkable Honestly, it plays a vital role in broader movements for visibility, empowerment, but also systemic change, particularly for underrepresented groups, including LGBTQ plus communities, women, and also people of color. Many marginalized individuals struggle with internalized bias, imposter syndrome, we all know this, societal expectations that really discourage them from celebrating their achievements. I find that IAmRemarkable reframes self-promotion as a tool for visibility and progress. By also creating safe spaces for storytelling, which is what IAmRemarkable sessions are, really, and also opportunities for self-recognition. The movement strengthens representation for those often overlooked, whether it's in the workplaces or in the or at society at large. As more companies also embrace IAmRemarkable workshops, I see that they also start to embed inclusivity into their own cultures, and this enables them to foster environments where diverse talents can thrive. I also like the confidence building aspect of IAmRemarkable, as this align with movements for gender equality, LGBT plus rights, and racial justice, reinforcing advocacy efforts, but also amplifying the voices of our champions. Also, I think we can all agree that traditional leadership norms often favor dominant voices. So I love the fact that IAmRemarkable challenges these biases and these norms, ensuring authentic recognition for all individuals, regardless of your background, regardless of whether you're introverted or you're shy, but giving you the platform, the opportunity to speak up, to stand up for yourself, to be heard, to be recognized, and to be valued accordingly.
Wow, that sums it up in a very beautiful way. Junior, anything to add from your side?
Is that possible? Do you know what? I simplified this for myself and I wrote down 2 E's and 2 B's. So I wrote down empowering people, educating people, bringing change, and building confident communities. Because I feel like we've built a lot of good communities. I'm remarkable. Definitely can't top what Chris said, but you've got my 2 E's, my 2 B's there.
I agree. Amelie, anything to add from your side?
I mean, they said it all right. But I would say, yeah, I agree. I agree on the fact that I think IAmRemarkable is definitely a great safe place to start with, especially for people of the community, but also for allies. I have seen for the past 4 years so many incredible discussions take place just because it's a safe place. It's a closed space. Sometimes it's also, like workshop with attendance restrictions. So I have given, for example, like women-only workshops, and I don't know, it just discussion happens that probably would not happen anywhere else. And it was so great to see people with maybe a bit more privilege realize that no, not everyone has the same perception of the world than you. Not everyone has the same struggle, the same challenges. But the good thing is that you can be an ally. You can, as you were saying, Junior, like you can act even if you're not part of the community. So yeah, for that, I think creating this very specific point in space time closed with only a few people that basically have your back. I think it's a great tool.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I love when people write, send me a message afterwards, like saying, hey, I use this in my everyday life. This gave me so much more confident. Yeah, and that truly makes a change. It makes a difference. And especially for the LGBTQ plus community, marginalized groups who lack in confidence because their parents told them you are not right the way you are, or whoever said that to you. It's a nice boost to meet in a community where you can exchange and where you get the feeling that you are just right the way you are. Yeah, it's a big movement. Thanks for sharing. Well, looking at my watch, we are coming to the end of the session. Thank you so much for joining us today. But before we close the session, I'd like to have a look at our Q&As. Let's have a look if the audience has asked some questions. And I see that we do have a question here. What advice would you give to allies who want to show up for the LGBTQ plus community? Very common question. Any advice for allies? Who wants to take this one?
I can go. It's a very large question. I think there are tons of things that you can do. You can educate other potential allies. You can spread the word. You can share information. I think there is a lot, and depending on where you are located, of Instagram account, for example, socials, posts that you can just reshare, that you can discuss, that you can send to your families. You can also act both in your personal and professional life. I won't be into too much detail because we could be here all day. Maybe one thing, putting my corporate hat, but maybe you can actually reach out to your ERG, if you have one, and ask them what they need, because they are probably the best one to tell you what they could need support with. But yeah, I don't know, Junior, Chris, if you have maybe some more specific advice.
Junior.
I would just go to the very core of it and just say, be really honest with yourself as an ally. So where are you on this journey? So if you were to rate yourself from 1 to 10 in confidence levels, knowledge, be really, really reflective with yourself and put that number down, and then think about what you need to do to get to a place where you can be an active ally. So whether it's using the resources that Emily just mentioned or educating yourself a bit more, but just be really honest of where your starting point is.
Agree with what Ben said. Thank you for wanting to be an ally. In the first instance, you're always welcome, but be prepared to listen and learn. Allyship is not a noun, it's a verb. So being an ally means doing the work. And some days it will be tough. You'll need to be your advocate, you'll need to be your champion, you need to be an active bystander, but most days it's fun because it's fun to be an ally, for this community.
Wow, agree. And to all allies, thank you for your support. It really does mean the world to us. We have great allies in our Hamburg office, and I always ask them, wow, what's your motivation? You put in so much time and effort to support the community. And maybe it's just some baby steps. You don't have to change the world at once, but just putting a pride lanyard on or putting the sticker on your laptop to make the other person feel comfortable and show them, hey, I'm okay, and you can be yourself here. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have another question. Not being in the USA, how do you see what is happening here? Anything scares you, or do you think it doesn't matter in the big picture, and will it pass? Oh, wow.
I am honestly very wary of these Trumpian policies. You know what they say, right? When the US sneezes, the whole world catches a cold. So I'm worried, with all of these far-right movements and the continued attacks on DEI, not just on the corporate space, but generally for the community. But I think, for example, in the Philippines and in Asia, there's a movement around decolonizing what DEI means, and allowing our local advocates and local champions to define what diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging mean for us, reflecting our own value systems, our cultures, and our principles. And I think that's wonderful, as a wonderful reaction to what's happening across the globe. But it's keeping me up awake at night, all of these, because again, you cannot isolate yourself from whatever is happening in the world. I certainly speak with my colleagues, for example, in the US, and it's not the most exciting times for them, with DI being defunded or deprioritized. So I'm concerned about their overall employee experience, for example, and how that will be impacted in the long run as the continued attacks on DI as the attacks on DI continues.
Super interesting, Chris. Thanks for sharing from the other side of the world. I'm aware of the European perspective, but hearing your thoughts is really, refreshing. Thank you, even though it's a sad topic. Amelie, any thoughts from your side?
Yeah, I agree. I think anything that happens in the US, especially on these topics, there is ripples in Europe or in other parts of the world at some points. I think, not an expert here, but at least at the moment in Europe, specifically in France, which I know, we have laws that kind of protect us from some things that can happen in the US and cannot happen in our countries at the moment. But I like the image that you use, Chris, of the sneeze and the cold. I think it's exactly that, right? There will be probably impact. We probably will not see it maybe tomorrow. Maybe it will be a bit later. So I think we are all worried, but we don't really know what's going to happen. So as long as we have, like the possibility to continue to do DEI or whatever else it's called in Europe, we'll continue to do it. We'll continue to advocate for it. And I've also seen it more on the women's rights a couple of years ago. But if people in Europe can support the people in America, they will do it. So yeah, it's worrisome, but good news, at least for Europeans, that at the moment, I don't see, like things happening from one day to another. But to be honest, thinking of the community in America and, we are here and we support you.
Yeah, sending a lot of hearts. Junior, anything to add? You are nodding.
Yeah, I think that in the UK, we are seeing some ripple effects already. So if you've got a large corporate that's got American investors, they're leaning against not wanting to upset those investors, so pulling back on certain things or being less visible in certain things. So we're definitely seeing it. But I think because I'm so used to looking at the world issues with LGBTQ, even like recriminalizing homosexuality in Trinidad and Tobago, all the issues we saw in Poland with our colleagues in Poland when we had some issues over there, it's just never ending. So I think the resilience is a massive thing. Part of the question was, will it pass? It will pass as long as we're not passive. And that's the main thing. So we cannot just sit back and let these things happen. I know there's a limit to how much we can do individually, but collectively, what can we do to make a difference? So yeah, let's not put the passive or the passive.
Wow, I like that. It will pass, but don't be passive. Let's act on it. I heard this sentence in our senior management. They said, when they go low, we go high. And that motivates me not to stop and not to be too passive and to do something. Right, let's go with one last question from the audience. What makes you feel optimistic for the future? Nice question. Who wants to take this one? Chris, you are laughing.
Okay. What makes me feel optimistic is the community. I mean, we are a resilient bunch. I know we've talked about, how how situations can be dire sometimes. Again, out there in the US, it's really very tricky. But let's not forget queer joy. Queer joy is resistance. Just us existing, laughing, having a drink with their friends. Coming together as one community. I think that is the best form of resistance, because that is visibility. That is us basically claiming our space. And if we can hold spaces for our other LGBTQ plus friends and part of our community, that's even better. So that makes me optimistic, because this community is hella strong.
Love it. Anything to add from you, Amelie, Junior, or everything said?
I think just things like this. So the fact that we've come together, have these conversations, and you are meeting your people and talking about these things, I'm optimistic that these talks will turn to action and we'll all pull together and do the right thing. So this is a feel-good session, I think, for me.
Yeah, same here. Connecting with the people of the community, with the allies. I'm always meeting new people every year who inspire me and, wants me to do even more. So I hope it will continue, and I'm confident that will be the case.
Yeah. I already mentioned that I was so inspired by Gen Z, how motivated they are, their mindset, and even the very young generation. One day my wife picked up our small one from kindergarten, and a very small kid, 5 years old, asked her, "Are you the belly mom or are you the heart mom?" And she was like, "What? Okay." And this is how they grew up. It was so natural to them. And whenever we try to explain to them, like, okay, Julie or Mila, they have 2 moms, they are like, okay, yeah, so whatever, what's the deal? And I love how they grow up, but not only the younger generation, but also seeing my parents, who were very shocked when I came out to them, not talking to me for almost 10 years, and now being great grandparents, loving the kids and all the possibilities that we do have. My brother, who has a husband, and they get a child in the US in September, actually, and all these possibilities in laws. Well, let's cross our fingers that that it will remain as smooth as it is, but that's why we should not be passive and act for our rights. Yeah, so thanks for this last question. Okay, let's read out loud a couple of comments. Thanks to all panelists. You are all remarkable. Special shout out to Chris for showing up so close to midnight in the Philippines. Yeah, thanks, Lorraine. Okay, another one. You can't be what you can't see. Junior dropping gems. Yeah, nice. Visibility is so important in the workplace. Very out and proud LGBTQIA+ leaders not just bring a seat in the table, they bring a whole new table for everyone to be included. Wow, yeah. Pride means acceptance, recognition. Pride is a sense of accomplishment because you can be in your authentic self. Absolutely. Pride is a protest and a fight for rights. Yep. Love that. The opposite of pride is shame, and we are not ashamed. So empowering. Thanks for sharing that one. Pride, freedom. Yeah. Nice. Thank you for the nice positive comments. Well, before we close the session, I'd like to bring you a couple of things to your attention. All this week, top-tier IAmRemarkable facilitators are running sessions on behalf of remarkability. So if you have never taken the workshop, or if you'd like a little refresher, now is the perfect time to sign up. And we are also delighted to invite you to another Pride Month talk with which is taking place actually tomorrow with our opera singer and drag artist, Le Gâteau Chocolat. From Conley Hall to Glyndebourne, the Gâteau Chocolat has captivated audiences around the world with his rich baritone voice and with a striking presence and unapologetic authenticity. So don't miss that session. It is a very special talk, and he will share his journey through the arts, reflect on what it means to take up space as a queer Black artist. And he will also explore how we can all live more fully, authentically, and unapologetically. So I truly recommend this session. Don't miss it. It's hosted by our very own Amelie. So sign up using the QR code or check out the link in the chat. With that being said, I just want to thank everyone. Big thank you to our panelists, Junior, Chris, Amelie. I've been your host, Jeanette from Hamburg. And yeah, hi to France, UK, to the Philippines. What a great global session. And the only thing that is left to say is Happy Pride Month.